What's up, gentlemen? In this video, I'm going to be doing another top 10 ranking, but this time it's worst non-nano units. Just a disclaimer, this is for units that we can currently unlock within the level cap of 46. The criteria of this ranking is, what level do you unlock it at, how useful it is when you unlock it, and the costs of producing and healing it. Starting off, we have two honorable mentions, and that is the AA turret and the dragon. The AA turret is unlocked at level 10 at the vehicle factory and just costs gold to produce. It does mediocre damage with both attacks, but to make up for it, the crit rate is pretty insane at 50%, along with the fact that it is super easy to rank up. This unit gets a lot of shit because currently there is actually no uses of it as of level 46. So I feel like putting it in the main list isn't really doing it justice, and once we have some encounters with flying enemies, we can get a better idea of what it's like. The other unit in the honorable mentions is the dragon. You unlock this at level 42 at the vehicle factory and costs steel, oil, gold, and 3 to 4 widgets. All things considered, it's not a terrible unit. It has a checkerboard attack that deals decent damage with an 80% chance of inflicting the fire DOT. The thing is, the attack isn't directly the worst, it's mainly the fact that this costs an ass load of widgets, and the attack's damage type is fire and not explosive, so certain enemies can resist it much more than if it dealt explosive damage. It also costs steel, oil, and 1 to 2 gears to repair, which honestly isn't that bad. It also ironically has the same rocket pod barrels as the Mega Tank, which I find is kind of interesting. I hope that this is one of the first units that Madrona decides to balance out and make a bit better, because the cost of 3 to 4 widgets is kind of crazy, and I don't think it's totally worth right now. But moving past that, let's start with the actual ranking. At number 10, we have none other than the Reef Bandit Powerboat. The Powerboat is unlocked at level 32 at the dry dock after building the Reef Bandit Armory, and costs steel, lumber, gold, and a staggering 14 to 20 skulls. On top of that, if it dies, it costs between 3 and 15 skulls, plus steel and lumber. Its stats aren't actually bad at all. The machine gun is underwhelming, but the torpedoes are capable of dishing out over 500 damage plus breach at R8. But the thing is that that's not always gonna happen. This is one of those attacks that's extremely RNG, and 95% of the time the torpedoes are gonna go pretty much everywhere but the thing you're actually trying to kill. It also seems like the enemy version of this is always like 10 times more accurate, and can sometimes nearly one-shot a high-rank M10, which is just awesome. Surprisingly, our version can actually get all the way up to 705 health at R8, which is kinda nuts, but at a second glance, the Destroyer at max rank can get up to 780 health, and actually has armor, so it's not as impressive as you may think. In all, if you're able to hit the shots, the Powerboat isn't bad, but it's definitely one of the many slot machines in Battle Nations. Coming in at our 9th spot, we have the Recon Vehicle, which you unlock this at level 15 at the vehicle factory, and it costs iron, oil, and gold to produce. You actually first unlock one of these much earlier on after the Filler Up mission, where you repair one after helping out the Raider kids. It's decent for when you get the free one, dealing pretty okay damage, but unfortunately it quickly becomes irrelevant because of many different factors. First being that its health being so low makes it prone to dying randomly, which especially in the early game can really screw you over because it costs a bunch of iron and oil to repair, which you don't really have early on. And the health and damage issues don't really get better at higher levels either. It only gains 50 health from going from rank 1 to 6, plus the fact at rank 6 it takes 4 widgets to promote, which means you need to kill the AC twice, if not 3 to 4 times, and at that point, it is utterly useless against the enemies around that level. Its only redeeming factor is the 60 dodge at R6, which to be fair, is kind of meaningless when a toothpick being tossed at it will cause it to combust. I actually find it hilarious that a full-fledged heavier tank is cheaper to produce than promoting a recon to 6, even at its most expensive price. But moving along, we have number 8, which is the Bio Grenadier, which you unlock at level 43 at the barracks after building the chemical weapons lab, and costs steel, gold, and 7 to 10 vials to produce. He has one attack where he basically throws a vial, and it deals very mediocre damage with a 100% chance to deal poison DOT. I personally despise this unit, along with the other chemical infantry unit, but this thing is definitely better. It does cost steel, gold, and 1 to 3 vials to heal, but honestly, if any of them die, you should just leave them dead and infect them later on. This is a strat that Liz and a couple other people are doing because the pool of units you can actually get from infecting it are really solid, and it includes a chance of getting a Colossus. I still think that you should definitely just not make any more after the missions where you have to produce Bio Grenadiers. But if you already have like 20 light chem tanks and still have an assload of vials somehow, then it isn't a horrible idea. Now at number 7, we have the Tempest. The Tempest is unlocked at level 31 at the vehicle factory and costs steel, oil, and gold to produce. I talked about these guys recently in my Evolution of Gunner Units video, and they're basically an armored version of the Heavy Gunner that's slightly better. They deal a very small amount of damage across the first 2 rows when placed in the middle at the front. They have some health and armor that gets up to 330 at rank 6, and they are also a blocking unit, which isn't that terrible. And they cost steel, oil, and gold to heal. The thing is that they just get outshined by a lot of other units and are honestly worth skipping outside of just making the one for the mission. Hopefully this is another unit that gets some balancing changes because it is pretty abysmal. Coming in at number 6, we have the Ares, which you unlock at level 12 at the vehicle factory and costs iron, gold, and 4 to 5 merits. This is actually one of the first artillery units that you ever unlock, and it is pretty underwhelming. It deals very little damage. To be specific, it deals 1 singular damage more than the mortar team on its main attack, all the way up until R6, where it does an astonishing 2 more damage instead. It also has a chemical shell that you unlock at R2 that is genuinely a waste of nanopods, because you can only ever have 1 attack equipped at a given time. Comparing that to the mortar team's second attack, which deals significantly more damage than even the main attack on the Ares, and both can be equipped at the same time. Ironically, the health on the mortar team is also higher at 135 at R6 compared to the Ares 100 at R6. And lastly, the healing cost on the Ares is way higher, costing a big chunk of iron and gold, compared to the microscopic amount of iron and gold that the mortar squad takes. This is another one of those moments where Z2 genuinely had to be smoking like the shittiest crack in the universe when balancing these units. Sure, the mortar team costs nanopods, but you get one for free, and if you want more, it's only 8 nanos, which, funny enough, is exactly how much the chemical shot on the Ares costs. But moving past that, we're breaking into the top 5, where we have the Frontier Pyro, which you unlock at level 37 at the Frontier Recruitment HQ for some iron and a bit of gold. The Frontier Pyro is kind of a weird unit because it really doesn't do much damage at all, has a high crit rate, a 50% chance to stun, and extremely low health. It can kind of be used as a way to stun enemies, but there are just much better ways to do that before level 37, while also dishing out more damage over a larger area, like the Field Asian or the Lightning Dragoon. It's also ridiculously squishy, only getting to 150 health at R6, although to be fair, the healing cost is super cheap, only costing iron and gold. The Frontier Pyro definitely has like an identity crisis going on, and really isn't that strong in any department other than crit chance, which doesn't really matter when the damage itself is awful. But at number 4, we have the Chem Trooper. You unlock this unit at 41 at the barracks after building the chemical weapons lab, and just like the Grenadier, it costs steel, gold, and 7 to 10 vials to produce. The Chem Trooper serves as being the Flame Trooper's older brother, but that doesn't mean he wasn't also spiked into the floor as a kid. He does do better damage, but at its core, it has the same problems as the Flame Trooper. What I mean by that is he only has one range, so he has to be in the front row, and on top of that, he doesn't really have the health or resistances to play that role at all. There's also this really fun and awesome part where this shithead costs 1 to 3 vials to heal when he inevitably dies, which, in that department, at least the Flame Trooper only costs iron and gold to heal, and not vials. Although the Flame Trooper does cost fucking 84 nanopods to get more than 3 of, so his hands aren't exactly clean either. Overall, it is just not worth getting more of these units past the ones you need for the missions. He's also worse when it comes to infecting, and the outcomes for some reason are nowhere near as good as the Bio Grenadier, so that's just sealing the deal for this unit. Now, entering the top 3 worst non-nano units, we have the Scout Bike. You unlock the Scout Bike at level 10 at the vehicle factory for iron and some gold. The Scout Bike is kind of a meme because of just how blatantly dogshit it is. It does very low damage on the single target attack. He does have 2 attacks that you can unlock afterwards that deal even less damage, and cost 8 and 16 nanos respectively. The Scout Bike has several problems at its core that make it dogshit. The damage, obviously, the offense being super low, but especially the health. This thing has only 100 health at R6, meaning it only gains 35 health in its entirety. It does actually have pretty solid dodge, getting up to 65, but it's the same problem where if they step on a Lego, they basically disintegrate, so it's meaningless. But moving on to the number 2 spot, we have the Arsonist, which you unlock at level 6 at the barracks, and costs a tiny bit of iron, gold, and 2 merits. I really wish the Arsonist was actually good, or at least usable, because even when you unlock them, he's extraordinarily underwhelming. He deals very piss poor damage with both attacks, which is a shame because he is one of the first ways of dealing DOT damage with his Molotov. He also isn't very tanky, only getting up to 130 health at R6, but if you're actually spending 3 laurels getting this guy to R6, then there's something wrong going on. This is another one of those instances where I don't know what Z2 was thinking, why the early game super low level units cost tier 4 resources to R6, when even having an R6 Arsonist at level 6 would still be dogshit. It's different for units like the Wimp, because it's actually usable at R6, whereas the Arsonist deals pennies and nickels worth of damage. At least they're cheap to heal, only costing 1 to 3 iron and some gold, but still, these things seriously suck. Now lastly, at number 1, we have none other than the Allied Raider Fire Breather. You unlock this unit at level 21 at the Raider training camp, and it costs steel, gold, and 7 to 10 skulls. The Raider Fire Breather has several problems that make it the worst. It deals piss poor damage even though it's a level 21 unit. It only has 1 attack that's really bad. It doesn't have much health at all, and no resistances, and most of all, its price. It's 7 to 10 skulls, then on top of that it's 1 to 2 skulls if it dies, which is genuinely just a robbery. There's quite literally no good aspect of this unit, and it would be different if he was cheap, but he is the most expensive non-nano unit in the Raider training camp. This is definitely one of those units that is really in need of a buff or changes, because it makes no sense that this is the priciest unit, and then it's like complete and utter dog shit compared to the others. But after that dumpster fire, I think that's the end of this video. If you had some thoughts about the placements on this list, or different units entirely, please let me know down below. But for now, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, like, comment, and subscribe. I'll hope to get some more content out to you guys soon. I'll see you guys later.